Brady Young, excited helmets on there. Hey, welcome to the Coaching Life Podcast. I'm Chris Stewart. Sitting across from me in the studio here at Schoonover Center is my good friend and co-host, Coach Patrick Martin.
Good coach.
And of course, joining us today in the other screen, since we are now video, there's no surprise.
There's no
we can't
suspense.
lead up.
We used to be able to do that.
So joining us today in the third seat is actually we should say the first seat. He's in the first seat as of right now.
Seat one.
The champ, the champion, the MAC champion, Parker Navarro. Hey, welcome, man.
Be here.
Yeah.
Glad to be here.
Thanks for coming back.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, good deal. All right, that's it.
So what's new, man?
Anything going on in your life?
Not much. Graduating. I didn't even get to talk about that much, but graduating this Saturday. I'm going to walk for graduation.
Nice.
Of course.
Sweet. Congratulations.
Thank
yeah,
you.
That's
Thank you.
huge.
I'll still have more schooling after that, but that will be a completion of my undergrad and master's.
What are you majoring in again?
Yeah, so my undergrad is in integrated healthcare studies, and then my master's is in the science of management, or the science in management, a business. It's a business
Okay.
master's.
Yeah. I
So,
remember last time when you were on talking about how your injury experience and going through what you did, and kind of is pushing you towards your, what you want to do professionally. But That's
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah.
You may want to hold off on that.
That's right. There's more football to be played.
You keep playing like you did in the MAC championship game. It might be a little
Oh
bit.
yeah. Listen, I wrote down a few stats here, so I know Parker doesn't necessarily like being in the room and hearing people read this stuff off, but
Well, this is the wrong place to be today, though.
that's exactly right. So obviously, we're just off the heels of one of the greatest seasons Ohio University football has had in over 50 years, which is just absolutely incredible. You finished the regular season. There is still a bowl game to be played next week, the Cure Bowl in Orlando, Florida, and but this regular season, including the MAC championship game, which was last Saturday, you finished with completing 176 of 267 passes. That's a 65.9 completion percentage, and that included 12 passing touchdowns. But then on the other side of that, the rushing side of your dual threat quarterback capabilities is you rushed for almost 1,000 yards. And did you realize you were 943 yards in those 12 games, averaging 6.5 yards per carry, 15 touchdowns rushing. So added together, there's 27 touchdowns total. The longest rushing touchdown was a 55-yard rush for a TD. But of course, the most important ones: 10-2 record, Mid-American Conference champion. I know that's what's most important to you. For the first time here at Ohio University since 1968. 1968. We always bring that team back and introduce them at one of the games, and it was actually a little sad to me this year when we did, because I love when they do that, because Carson Crow, who was the center on that team, he's from Meigs High School, Meigs County. He was an attorney, then a judge for years in Meigs High School.
Coach.
He was did you play football?
No.
He was my middle school football coach as well, and I absolutely adore Coach Crow. Yeah, and still call him coach to this day. Every time we see him at an OU game, he'll walk through the tailgate area, Brad Rogers tailgate that we always hang out at, and he'll come over and talk. And this year, for the first time, because he last year when I saw him, he said, "Man, I want to get one of those books." He wanted Building Champions. He wanted one of my books, so I brought him a book. This year, it took him a second to notice who I was. And, oh yeah, Chris. So they're getting older. These guys are getting a lot older, and so it just goes to show you, it's absolutely incredible to me that it has taken us that long to win another MAC championship. So I mean, when you think about that, like that is an important accolade that's now tied to your name, right? I mean, have you taken a moment over the past weekend to just kind of pause and consider the fact that all of the quarterbacks that have gone before you since 1968, none of them have accomplished this.
Yeah. I feel like it's been like some sequence of moments. I don't know. It really hasn't like fully, I think, sunk in. But, just times throughout the day where it's like, wow, like what we just accomplished, like this team, everything we went through this year, it's in the history books. Like you said, it's been so long. And I think that's what makes it a little more sweet.
Yeah.
It's like, man, we haven't done this in so long, and here we are, did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me ask you this, because I know the last time you were on, which was a little over a year ago,
Yeah.
we talked a lot about, you had 2 injuries that you had a setback at UCF that and the coaching change, and then you moved on from there and came to Ohio University and had another injury that another setback. You had frustrations that you're dealing with and disappointment, and you were when I remember we introduced you as the backup quarterback for a championship caliber team. Mm-hmm. And now a year later, you're the quarterback for a championship team. What's changed as far as your approach? The mindset of surviving and testifying. In the situation that you were in. Mm-hmm. Now you're here. Has anything changed upstairs or with your approach? Do you feel any different?
I honestly, I don't. And I know what we talked about last time, me being in that position, it's like being a 2, you show up every day to practice knowing you're a snap away. And being a backup for that matter, like you never know when you're going to get your shot. And the work ethic doesn't change. The preparation doesn't change. And, I think when you have somebody who really, cares and are passionate about what they do and work hard at it, like when the opportunity comes, like it'll be there waiting for them to step into. And so when I got that opportunity in the bowl game, the Myrtle Beach Bowl, all that preparation, it just went into a new role kind of. I had more reps to work with. Things change a little bit of like, I have more reps and I'm viewed a little differently, but in terms of how I attack practice, how I attack each week, how I attack film, it all stayed the same.
Yep.
So
yeah, and I think that stays the same out, in other realms too.
Yeah.
That's why the experiences in sports is so great. Because it teaches how to handle those situations.
Yeah.
The episode that you're referencing is it was from September 27th of 2023, episode 149. And actually, I looked at that before we came in here today, and there have been several streams of that episode in the past few weeks.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So people have been kind of looking you up probably on podcasts or whatever, and people have seen it. So those, if you haven't listened to it, I would encourage you to go back and listen to Parker's story.
That's great.
From his high school days all the way. We talked a lot about that, and you going against Chubba Purdy in the state games there, the playoffs. But I actually want to play a brief, about 40 seconds of that episode, because it's on this topic that we're talking about right now. Your mindset back then, as Curtis Rourke was the starting quarterback. Curtis has had at least a decent year. Right?
You say that?
Yeah, right. He's getting prepared for the playoffs, and
hope he ends up in
really
Cleveland
excited for Curtis, man. Yeah. Well, my wife saw that they were playing. She's a huge Notre Dame fan. And when she saw that we were watching Sunday afternoon, the matchups, and she went, no, she did. I'm like, come on, you're not going to root for Notre Dame. And she said, I'm rooting for Curtis. And then I'm like, well, what does that mean? So she was like, we want Indiana to win that game. So anyway, this is about, and you won't be able to hear it unless you put headphones on. But this was really, the context is, Pat, you've already built the context for it, so I'm just going to play it. I think that's it.
Because a lot of times you see guys just in those spots, they're just kind of, they lack focus. They just complain. They want to be in that one spot, and I just didn't want that to be me. So, and I try to, my mindset too is I try to compete every day with Curtis, and I try to push Curtis,
make him better,
and make him better. and he pushes me. And I think ultimately, we want the team deserves the best guy out there on the field, and Curtis is a talented player, and the coaches they make that decision, and so that I want that for the team too. I want the team to be in the best position to win, and so if that means me playing a 2 role and pushing Curtis as hard as I can, challenging him to be better, then that's what I want, because I try to place the team's needs above my needs.
Stuff championships are built on.
Yeah, it is, and it's it's important for the people who listen to our podcast to hear, to know, just to think about the patience, to see this, to hear this, because we've got kids that listen to our podcast who maybe get assigned roles on teams that they don't appreciate or they don't like, and it impacts you, in a mental way, in your preparation, and I think to hear someone that they likely look up to right now, and see, how much has changed in a year, and you may only get one shot at it. You may only get one, like Coleman, right? Yeah. Coleman's had one shot at it. Man, he made the most of it.
Yeah.
Coleman Owen, who's one of Parker's roommates, Christian brother, most importantly, two of the most solid individuals that you'll ever meet are leading this team. It's been exciting to see.
You may not get one at all.
You may not, in the role that you want.
Yeah. And I think that your answer to my question earlier, that exemplifies the type of approach that you have to have. Regardless of where you set right now, your approach has stayed the same.
Right.
And that's what a winner is.
Yeah.
That you talk about being a competitor. You compete every day.
Yeah.
And you're in every role that you're in. As a friend, as a son, as a father. Every role that you're in, a quarterback. Everything that you do, you compete every day. That's what life's about. That's how you win. And you're not always going to have what you want. Not always going to get what you want.
Yeah.
Sometimes you do.
Yeah, and I was talking to a teammate the other day who's in a role that I was once in, and just trying to give encouragement and give advice, and something that I still use as motivation and encouragement today is, like, in those hard moments, there's lessons to be learned, and there's adversity to fight through that's going to fortify your character, and it's going to fortify the person you become. But also on the flip side, if you ignore these lessons, if you quit, if you give up, if you complain and you don't fully embrace it head on, shoulders back, chin up, then you're going to miss it. And what's going to happen is you're going to now face these same dilemmas that show up in your life in different ways, in different circumstances, but you've never dealt with it. And you're going to be less of a man because of it. And so that is, like, the fear of that, but also the motivation to, like, there's still that hope to achieve what you want to achieve, but also the fear of never fully realizing the lesson that God has had for me and the plan he has had for me, because I'm hiding away from it and I don't want to confront it, the reality of it. That's always been a huge motivator for me, and that's something that I actually recently told one of my teammates.
That's great.
So, that's gold,
that's
man.
Awesome. We need an angel singing sound so we can hit buttons on things.
Yeah,
like
some kind of background on that, because that'll be one of the TikTok clips that comes off, probably the magic clips that gets pulled off, and it's just incredible. We actually titled that episode. Episode 149, lead from whatever role you're in. We listened. I listened to the episodes. After recording them, and then I asked Pat, "What do you think we should name this one?" And it was just obvious. Through the conversation we had for an hour, that's what it was.
It's funny though, because in that episode you talked about how Curtis would treat other people, as a quarterback, and you described exactly what you said you just did.
Yeah,
of making those other players, those people in those other roles feel important, and encourage them to be the best that they can be in that role. And so
because they contribute,
and they needed to be too. Like one of the things I wanted to do in here today is to kind of walk through the whole season. Maybe we could just do that now, because it's relevant to what we're talking about. Because there were moments, or it wasn't always roses this season. It was there were ups and downs, and there were moments when Nick had to step up. And did Jacob get any? Did he get reps in the Miami game the first time we played them?
I don't think so.
He didn't get any reps this year.
No.
Yeah, on the field, in game reps. It was all Nick, you and Nick.
I think it was mostly
Yeah. But yeah, I walk us through like the season for you as much as you want to talk about like your ups and downs of the season.
Yeah. Starting the year, there was a lot of questions of like how good we could be, what this team is, where's our identity. There's a lot of unknown. We have a lot of new guys.
52 to be exact.
In the 50s.
52 new players.
New players. And it was kind of unbelievable. And so I'm talking with Coleman and some of my buddies. I'm like, what's this team going to be like? How good can we be? No one really knew. And, we played Syracuse, and I think we came away. It was a loss, but that's a tough Syracuse team.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
we came away with a little bit of encouragement, like, man, we got a glimmer of what we could do. We felt good. And I think after Syracuse, was it South Alabama or was that Morgan State?
Yeah, we came back home and won, right? Because we were 1-1 going into Kentucky. Does that sound right?
Yes.
Like, go back to Syracuse for a second,
Yeah.
though, because I will kind of affirm that from like a sideline bystander, standing back and watching. There was a feel leading up to that game, like among like everyone, from players, coaches, staff, everybody, that it was like everybody was nervous. Like, I don't know. Like, I talked to a few coaches, and you could tell, you could see it in their face. We have no idea what to expect, and we're going against Syracuse. Kyle McCord.
That's a new team too.
Exactly.
With
They
a lot of
yeah.
projections to be really good.
Yeah, and then halftime, like there was an opportunity to score and we missed it, right? And so halftime was a little discouraging, and even Coach Albin talked about how he kind of zoned out there a little bit. I think those were the exact words that he used in the post game speech. But you could see, man, at the end of that game, the energy, like that felt like a game that you won. That post game speech in their locker room felt like a game that you won, because I think the coaches saw we got something here.
Yeah. We kept fighting.
Yeah.
So
you got the schedule
coming out of that Syracuse game, played South Alabama,
Yeah.
and then Morgan State, and then
Okay.
we were 2-1 going
So
into
two
Kentucky.
wins,
Yeah.
two wins going into Kentucky. Yeah.
So South Alabama was obviously a good win. I think that team ended up being decent. They pretty impressive offense. Then we had Morgan State, which is the FCS team that we played. And they, obviously FCS, not nearly as skilled as some of the teams that we're going to play. But I remember that game. It was going great. It really was. And I think it was my second touchdown that I had. I was running in. Got my hand
your
smacked.
thumb. Yeah,
that was one
I
of,
forgot all about that.
Yeah,
hand.
that was one of the most nagging injuries I think I've had this year. That and a hip pointer was surprising, but those things killed me. My hand was swollen.
It looked like a
balloon.
softball was inside there.
Yeah, I remember you telling me.
Yeah.
We're coming. I was like,
And I'm sitting there thinking, like, can I go? And we're like, we just scored, but we were going to go onside right after.
Yeah, right.
And they're like, can you go? Can you not? Like, what's the deal? And I'm looking at my hand and it's starting to like swell up. I'm like, let's go. And not attributing what comes next.
I remember the pass that you threw.
Yeah. Not fully attributing what comes next to the hand. Did play a role, I think, more mentally, if anything. Feeling if I could grip the ball or not. But it's just a sequence of just bad decisions on my part, as a quarterback. And it was really frustrating because like things were going good and it's like, make one bad decision. And the thing that tears me up is when you make a bad decision, but you let it affect the next one. And we always talk, we can't let that happen. As a competitor, as a player, you got to move on. And that's the nature of my position too. It's like bad things will happen. You got to move on. And so, that game, that game as a whole is a big test for me, just in terms of me as a person, my football career. Because it was still the first half to throw 3 picks and basically get benched.
Right.
And Nick comes in and he has to finish out the game. And we win, we should. But that was it. We scored those touchdowns and we were done. And so, that definitely takes a shot at ego. It takes a shot at your pride as a competitor. And also you feel bad. You feel in a way you let the team down. And this is still early in the year. So, I remember having thoughts like, is this what's going to define this year? Like, is this going to define me as a player? And I actually had a really strong brother in Christ in for that game. He came to visit, and that was the one game he came to see. And this guy, he's one of my closest friends, and he actually played quarterback in the collegiate level. He was at North Dakota, and then went to Slippery Rock.
Oh yeah.
If you
Up in Pennsylvania?
Yeah, Pennsylvania, and strong Christian. He's 2 years older than me, so he's always been like a mentor to me. He's always, and I don't have a lot of people I look up to, but he's always been one. Like if I need advice, I go to him. And he plays a special role in my life. And he was in for that game. And obviously, like, I was kind of, after that game, I'm like, man, I was down. I was feeling upset. And him being here and being able to talk with him, it seemed like a godsend moment almost, where I was able to process a lot of this kind of heavy stuff, this really heavy disappointment that I was feeling after this game. And he's somebody that just was able to listen and provide, Christ-like advice. And but yeah, and so I say all that because after, I would say that point forward, the season kind of, for the most part, changed. And I think it comes from how you handle adversity too, and how you can push. Because I think we played, was it Akron after that game?
What game were we talking about there?
So we were just after Morgan. Oh,
Morgan
it was Kentucky.
Kentucky,
because I'd have missed that because of the hand.
Yeah.
After Kentucky,
Wait, we weren't 10-2. We were
Was it
10-3.
Arkansas?
We were 10-3.
Yeah, I said
you said
10-2
10-2.
earlier.
I was going to
Yeah.
correct you, but I didn't want to.
That's right.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
you want to add a loss to it.
Arkansas.
But yeah.
Akron. You played Akron after
Akron.
Kentucky.
Yeah. So I sat out Kentucky, played Akron. That was a great, I would say, bounce back game for me. I think that was my first player of the week.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
Oh, nice. Yep.
It's pretty cool to have that.
You had that 4 times, I believe, or 5.
Akron, Ball State, Eastern Michigan, the championship, and then I thought there was another one. Was it Buffalo?
Was Toledo?
It was Toledo.
Toledo?
It was Toledo.
After the Toledo game, yeah.
Do you remember how you felt in that Akron game?
I mean, it was a great feeling, to come back, because it was like I took a week off, and to come back and like have a pretty decent game, I was like, man.
But you didn't
Yeah, it was
practice
pretty
much
decent.
before that one, though, did you?
No.
Because you're the hand,
yeah.
and you were dealing with some. Were you
Lower back,
Yeah.
lower back stuff early in the season, and
because there was a question about whether or not you would be able to even start in that game.
Yeah. And I knew after Akron, I think we had like an extended week,
Right.
or something. So I was like, if I can just hit this game, I'll have some time to
Yeah.
recover.
And you didn't play at Kentucky at all.
I did not. I didn't play. They wanted me to suit up to give the illusion, I think. of
Right.
playing.
Yeah, you went out there and were warming up and everything. And
Yeah, I didn't throw. I did everything
No.
except throwing,
Yeah.
and then I'm like, I'm not throwing. They're gonna figure it out. But
And it's Kentucky. I mean, it
yeah,
doesn't matter.
yeah. No, there's no expectations.
Yeah.
But yeah, Akron was awesome. Then I forget after that who we played. I know I need to schedule up.
I was just the game in Akron. You had a great game.
That was a good.
You
game.
looking at individual stats? Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it Central Michigan?
Oh, that was a good
Was
one.
it? Yeah, we're on the road
At Central Michigan
at
was the
Central.
first time in 20, second time in 20 years that
Yeah.
we'd ever won up there.
It's a hard
Yeah.
place to play.
Yeah.
And they almost got us back, but we fought.
It's a good thing. The first half just buried them.
Oh, yeah.
And they fought back in the
They fought
second
back.
half. Yeah.
27-25.
But it was
the
enough
final
to
of that
win
game.
Yeah.
to come away with a win.
Yeah. So that was a good game. And then after what was after that? Trying to like walk through,
Right.
walk through the games.
These,
Central was it Miami after that?
yep, Miami.
Miami.
Miami was another rough one.
That was rough.
And so we're still
Yeah.
in the part of the season where like I'm facing a lot of adversity as a player.
Yeah, you got pulled in that one
Yeah,
too.
yeah. Miami, things were not going our way in the first half.
Hang on a second.
Boy, that's
Hang on a second.
interesting.
Yeah, keep that thought. All right. So there have been a few times in this season, this championship season, when the coaching staff went to a pinch hitter because he wasn't performing. Parents, It's never personal, right? Like like it's not like it's not. Coach Alvin didn't hate you. Coach Smith didn't hate you. As Coach Izzy didn't hate you. Like, just we're going to do something different.
Yeah,
we're going to do something different. And sometimes coaches are right, sometimes they're wrong. But that's sometimes that happens. But it's never we hate Parker, so we're pulling him out of the game. Yeah, because the next game you played.
Right.
So,
and his thing is and I know Ohio State has a version of this, but Coach Albin's was love and accountability. I think Ohio State's like tough love or something like that.
Like their philosophy
their
or
motto.
their motto.
A motto.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah.
And they say the same thing.
I don't know about that with Coach Day, but we won't get into that. So anyway,
but they say
they
say the same thing, that there's a love aspect. Like the coaches love you, they care for you as a player, as a person. But then there's accountability. You got to be accountable to what you do, and that's the harsh reality. But
well, you said earlier, you the best guy needs to be out there for the team. You want the best guy out there,
right?
Yeah,
and podcast 148 or 149.
Yeah,
you said that. Yeah.
So, anyways, Miami was a rough game. They had a tough defense, and we had a few guys missing on the line.
Yeah.
And like
two offensive linemen gone.
Trey got hurt in the middle of the game.
Yeah.
That was truly a difficult game. I felt like guys were on my face in 2 seconds, running around, tight coverage, really good defense. I give them a lot of credit.
It was really difficult to complete a pass.
Oh, yeah.
Like nobody seemed open at all. The best catch of the day, I can still see it in my mind. I think it was Chase was parallel to the ground. Like he threw it before he ever got out of his break, and when he came out of his break, the ball was
Rodney.
Was it
like
Rodney?
a third down.
Yeah.
It was a
He
third
had
down.
a great game that day.
Yeah, he did.
Because they doubled Coleman the whole time.
Yeah.
And he was parallel, and it was like, it was a third down. It was
a tough catch.
one of the only conversions I think that we had in the game.
So we were just kind of getting locked up, and like later into the second half, coming to that game, it's like, you feel like you're in a position where if we're going to win, you got to start threading the needle, start taking shots.
Yeah.
And things didn't work out. I think that game was a little different than the Morgan State game because it was more calculated.
Sure.
Like, I'm gonna squeeze this in here, and it just wasn't working. And they thought Nick was would give us a spark, and so he
kind of did in that game.
Yeah,
I mean,
we scored.
The game was over.
The game was over, but we still
we fought.
We scored and we fought.
How many picks did you have in that game?
2.
Not to talk about your picks, but
2.
So you had 3 in the Morgan State game, 2 in that one.
Yeah.
I think you ended the season with 10, right?
I think.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I think I did.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you got you. Yeah. I heard I can confirm that one of your coaches. I overheard him talking about how good you got late in the season. Like, I mean, when I say good, I mean it was he was like he was good. I mean it was legit. Particularly the last 4 games of the season, it was a completely different quarterback.
Yeah. And honestly, I think from the Miami game, I think what was after that was like Buffalo or something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We we got on a roll.
Wow.
That
was
Yeah.
That was when you had a feeling that we're doing something special.
Yeah. And that Buffalo was a pretty good game. I know we didn't pass a ton, but like in terms of efficiency, we had a few big shot throws. It was a great game, and from there on out, we had this pretty explosive season.
Yeah.
He played Kent
There was no
State.
looking back
Yeah.
after that.
After that, that was a 41-0 win, and
Yep.
Eastern Michigan after that, 35-10.
Yep.
Which is never an easy game to play. They were down, but that Eastern Michigan's always a tough school.
That offense was pretty talented,
Yeah.
and I thought they had a pretty good defense too.
Yeah.
That was a good win.
Well, then you played Toledo.
And we had Toledo at Toledo.
That was the deciding game. Yeah.
Historic win.
Right.
Playing up in Toledo,
Winning.
late in the season.
Yep.
Cold.
Yep.
And winning up there was pretty huge.
Because I don't think we hadn't won up there. It was like we were 0-16 or 0-8 or 1-18 or something like that.
Yeah. That's a Browns in Pittsburgh stat.
Yeah. And just from there, you just stuff changed, and I think I drew a lot of confidence, a lot of it too, from knowing how I can handle tough times and the rough games, and knowing this is not the end of the world, and that oddly gave me a lot of confidence too, having that experience,
of course,
experienced that, overcome that, moving forward, and I really do think I found a groove. I found comfortability in the offense, and this is my first year starting, even though I'm a 5th year. It's my first season.
Yeah.
So I'm learning. Like, I'm learning on the fly.
Great patience and great, yeah. And that's why you're getting better, because it's still kind of new to you in terms of the role. Yeah.
And each week, you just going into practice, I just feel a little more assured in throws. I really more assured in the right reads and knowing where to go with the ball, doing stuff that I used to be thinking about, now I'm not thinking.
I don't know if this, like, if it was just perception or if it was reality, but one of the things I noticed in the championship game up in Detroit was the ball was coming out of your hand quicker than it had all season long. Like,
it really was.
If you go back and look at film from those Morgan State games, there was hesitancy, but man, there were times when you no sooner found the laces and it was out of your hand. And I know that's a big deal, that quarterback coach was talking about, but there was that. Speaking of confidence and knowing and the rhythm that you found with all of your receivers, like you had it with Coleman all year, but you found it with three or four guys really, and total, and even a tight end. When did we ever? How many times did we throw it to a tight end before the championship game?
Not much.
Not many. It's not really part of the offense, is it?
Yeah.
But man, he hit one touchdown pass was to the tight end, right?
Mason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just, I don't know. Let's talk about that game. I don't know how many games you had left in your season, but
it was
all leading up to the Miami, the game in Detroit, the championship game. Just an unbelievable. Like, if you go back and watch that, I would give you homework to find mistakes, because that was almost a perfect game. I mean, I told somebody afterwards, I'm like, we won that game 2 hours ago. We were just waiting for it to end.
Yeah.
I mean, you were in control. There was one drive where they got the field goal, but when they had to settle for a field goal, though, it was like, yeah, we got this.
Yeah.
It was just. Did you guys feel this? That's the way we felt on the sideline watching, or in the stands. Did you feel the same way?
Coming into that game, obviously we played Miami once before in the season, and I knew how good of a defense that was. And then also watching the film on them. Since we've played them, they've continued to excel, and I think as a defense, Miami has really grown since we played. And so I'm sitting here thinking, if we're going to win this game, this is going to be a hard-fought, nitty-gritty, execution match.
And you were thinking close
game.
I was too.
And
it's going to be a close game.
We're going to have to battle.
Yeah.
Because this defense, they had some players now. I think some of those guys actually hit the portal and are getting pretty big offers from.
Solopak. Is that what?
Solopak.
Yeah. Was he the defensive player of the year?
Returning defensive player of the year. He could have got it again, really.
Yeah.
But there's a dude from Buffalo had an unbelievable year.
Yeah.
But they had some guys. They had a really good corner.
Yes.
So safety was really good.
Yeah, really good safety. I mean, all around they were pretty sound across the board. Their DNs were solid.
Never missed tackles.
Yeah.
Before that game, I mean, they tackled really well.
Really good tacklers. And
I mean, but that's kind of harsh, because just watching you guys run, especially you.
Oh, they didn't tackle.
Did you feel any different? Because it was like a video game.
That's true. Well, what did Coach? I heard Coach Izzy rode the bus on my bus home, and so he was talking about. There were some stats that were just crazy. Like we had how many? It was 36 first downs or something like that, and of the 36 first downs, only 11 of them were third down conversions, which means we got first downs on first or second down 20-some times. I mean, it was big chunk yardage plays on the ground.
Yeah. But even, I remember, it was either the second or third drive, you got backed up. I can't remember if there was a holding penalty or something.
It was 30. You had a second and 30 at one point.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I think there was 2 times in that, but it ended up being third and 9.
Half, though, the one
and we ran a draw.
Yeah.
And it worked, and it's everything was working.
Yes.
It's I think from Miami's perspective, there was 2 runs in that game, and the first run was, we're on our heels. Let's stop them and get back, on schedule, and we'll be in the game. But they couldn't stop you. No matter what, you guys just kept scoring, perfect execution. And I don't know if you
Did we punt once? think we punted once.
It had to have been
I
late.
think Jack-
It wasn't, you didn't punt in the first half.
No,
Because I remember
The
somebody
second
had just
half.
mentioned it to me on the
Yeah, it
sideline.
was one
They're like,
punt.
"Have we punted yet?" I think it was
Yeah.
like Sergio or somebody was like, "I don't think we punted yet."
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden,
It's one-
we
yeah,
had-
it's one punt, I
Well,
think.
yeah,
But you made some
Jack wanted to
huge-
play too, right?
You made huge throws in the first, like just throw after throw, and like
Yeah.
we dominated the line of scrimmage. Like everything was perfectly executed, just like you
It
said.
really
very
was.
very few mistakes. I think Miami went from saying, "Let's just stop them," to we can't.
It's one of those nights.
Like if we don't, like it was, let's punt and stop them and get the ball, and then it went from that as the strategy to, if we don't punt here, they're going to score. So it was like nothing they did. Like there
or
was
even
nothing
if we do punt, they're going to score.
Yeah,
So we may as well try to go for it.
I thought early, like late in the second quarter, they should have they should have started not going for the conversion instead of punting, because I'm like you can't get much further behind because you're not going to be
the
able to
one
win.
field goal that they took, the 3 points that they had there was less than a yard to gain there. I think.
Yeah, I agree.
I was surprised they
had
didn't
that
try
been
to go
later
for
in the
it.
game, no doubt they would have
Yeah.
went for that. But I think they were pretty
They wanted to get on the
confident in
board
stopping
first or
us
something,
and
yeah.
getting points on the board,
Yeah.
and it just didn't.
So here's another stat. Speaking of that, and it has held true through all 13 games. Yeah, we are the only college football team in the NCAA to not give up a touchdown in the first quarter this year.
Oh, we don't.
Yeah,
That's
Interesting.
unbelievable.
every game. Yeah, Syracuse was 3, I think. Kentucky was either 3 or 6. There,
Yeah.
it was all
They
field
didn't-
goals.
yeah, they didn't
Anything- but a lot of games it was 0. I mean, so you put your offense in a situation to be able to control the game from the first quarter. That's huge.
Yeah, and I remember they were so dominant the whole year.
Our defense, yeah.
was dominant. And I'm like, as offense, I'm like, man, like I want to take
That
a
puts
little,
pressure on you too, doesn't it?
I want to take a little off of them. These guys are working; they're getting stops. Like, man, I don't want to, I don't want to give the defense the ball. I don't want to cause turnovers. And I think the last few or several games of the season, that's reflected in our time of possession. We're keeping them off the field.
Yes,
Keeping them
that's
fresh,
true.
keeping them healthy. And I'm so happy for them that we were able to do that, because, man, they had our backs, the offensive backs, all year.
Yeah, I think your second or third possession of the Miami game was a 10-minute drive.
Yeah.
Yes.
Something like that.
And so
That's
like,
a huge stat in that game. The time possession.
time of
was so
possession was
lopsided.
crazy. That was
Yeah.
a really big stat.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, I think we're 100% in the red zone. Our third down conversion rate was pretty good.
Yeah.
Things were just working. So
The commentator, I don't remember who it was. They couldn't say enough good things about you. It was kind of like, it kind of got old. Like, yeah, come on, guys, come up with something different. But,
Was it on ESPN? Like, which ESPN was it on?
I don't know. We
I know it was
have
on
that-
ESPN, but I didn't know which one. If it was like
I don't know.
the regular
We-
channel.
We
or,
have Fubo. We pay
Gotcha.
for Fubo. So that's what we always turn on. But
I don't. What could they have said?
Well, you know how
otherwise?
like and I agreed with them.
Yeah.
Because you like when they say a quarterback is a surgeon and just
yeah.
that's what you look like you and then
Even-
like when you didn't throw and you would run, it's like they had you set multiple times and you a spin move or
Well, there were 2
and
times
dropped
when
the
you fumbled the
yeah,
snap and
yeah.
completed a first down pass.
Yes, it's like what is going on?
Yeah.
Like this guy,
Every break, man. We needed that. I
Yeah.
mean, we didn't need it, but we got it.
we
and
got
it was
it.
great.
Yeah. Things were just going our way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was one pass that you threw. You were rolling over because you were rolling toward me. Like I was where we were standing on our sideline, and I thought he's just either going to run out of bounds or he's going to throw this away because you kind of threw it sidearm, and it was fluttering a little bit, and we thought I threw it out of bounds. Next thing you know, you look up and Coleman's catching it for a touchdown, and it was like I won't ask you if you're actually throwing that ball away, but
I won't answer.
right, but it was weird because it was like even when it looks like we're throwing balls away, they're going in for touchdowns, and it was that touchdown that just broke their necks. I mean, I took a video in that moment of the Miami stands across the field and sent it to April or sent it to my parents because it was just people hitting the exits, just leaving at that point. They knew there's just everything Ohio's doing.
That's the thing. It's like
working.
at some point you're just thinking we can't catch up.
Yeah.
It's like we're not going to be able to score as much
And
as
it's
they're
cool
scoring.
when that happens in a championship game because then the celebration, coaches never want you to start celebrating before a game is over. But like when you know, and it was and for that game it was kind of cool because the fans were into it. The people from Athens, the OU fans showed up for that
big
game.
time.
I heard you could hear the crowd.
Yes.
I was thinking I didn't feel good that day. I was sick, I remember hearing that you could when we would score the crowd like there was a presence there.
It,
I'm
it,
like,
it
that's
was
really
legit.
nice.
Like it didn't sound like a Maction game, right?
Yeah,
It was legit.
Yeah,
They
it
showed
really
up big
was.
time. Our fan base is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize, I've had a lot of people come up to me, like older people, and they're like, this hasn't been done in so long, and we're so
How much it
like,
meant to them.
How much it meant.
Yeah.
They're like, it means so much that you guys were able to do that. And I'm like, wow, like I really didn't know, it meant that much to some of these people around here.
Has your social life changed much, like from what it was before this season to now? Like, are more people coming? I think about this now and then with people who get famous. Like it was weird to see how the perception of like Joe Burrow when he just all of a sudden was a nationally recognized person.
Right.
And you're obviously a recognized person here in Athens now. Like, has that been weird for you, or what's that like?
I feel like not too much has changed. Really, I feel like really not much.
You keep to yourself.
Yeah, I mean, keep to myself. I don't really have them in classes either, like in person, so that that plays a role. But no, I feel like not much has changed. Same old routine.
One thing I do know though is you're wearing your Jesus One shirt today. You and I both wearing one of those today. Is the highest priority in your life is Christ. And it'd be remiss for us to not talk about this before we're ending the podcast today. So tell us about things that you've seen Jesus do with this team this year and in your life.
Man, it's been a fun season, but throughout the course of the season, so much has happened. I think in just the faith in this area, in the faith of guys on the team, and God is just moving. I think not only on this team, but on this campus and just in general right now.
I agree.
In this day and age. And there's been so many awesome conversations, and I think that means the most to me is the conversations I've had with some teammates on the team. I think the team has been kind of the flock that the Lord has given me to shepherd over in a way and to witness to. Mm-hmm. And I really take that role serious. And so like those guys, they mean, whether they know it or not, they mean a ton to me. And I've had so many conversations with guys on the team just about curiosity, about interest in the faith, genuine interest, and coming with a lot of questions, confiding in me, telling me things, that because they trust in me. And the Lord's given me a position to have a little bit of influence over some of my teammates, and that's has mean the world to me. But not only that, I think there's a movement like on campus as well, and a lot of the people that are they go to Oasis, but I've also we had a worship night where there was a bunch of college students that came, just praising God. And it was right here on the heart of campus, and that was an awesome night to see. To see people publicly and openly just be confident with their faith and to proclaim what they believe and to stand by it. That was really cool to see. And then athletes in action. We have a ton of different athletes from different sports coming together on Monday nights, wanting to know about God, wanting to know about the Bible, who Jesus Christ is, what is our relationship to him, and the atoning work that he has done for us on the cross and our desperate need of a Savior. And that has just been, people just have questions about that. And the reality of it, is it true? Should I believe this? Should I not? And it's just been an awesome thing. And, the Lord's been so good. He's been so faithful. And I'm just blessed to play, a small role in the larger body of Christ.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you've had those opportunities with individuals. I know with your roommates. I'm sure you've had conversations there. Mm-hmm. You lead the Bible study with the football team. Gave your testimony at that worship night across campus there on the steps of Scripps Hall, and you and Coleman both gave a testimony that night with other athletes as well. And and it crosses beyond football as well. Like I know you've got golf friends and volleyball friends, and and it's really cool to just to see the move of God on this campus as well as other campuses. As we've the guy that owns this company, the Jesus One company, has told us stories. Like what was cool. The cool thing about this shirt, and I guess I could tell that story, is after it was our first home game actually. Brooke, Coach Albin's wife, approached me in the parking lot outside the stadium and said, hey, she and Tim had some folks over for Sunday lunch or something like that. I think Blake was there, and a couple other guys, Shay, I think, and they were talking about the revival that happened on Ohio State's campus. At that time, it had only been a couple weeks beyond that, and it was kind of sparked by some campus ministers and churches getting together to just basically play worship music on the what they call the oval, their main green there, and then some of the football players were leaving practice and came and joined, and then Travion Henderson gave his testimony, and after that, several of the football players were baptized, and it turned in. Oh, it really? Have we not talked about that on here?
I don't think so,
but. Yeah, it turned into a huge then it just continued like into the night, and more people, and they went and got ice bath troughs, and we were baptizing people, and one of a local kid that was a freshman he had been on Ohio State's campus for a couple of weeks. He was baptized. Braden Otto from Southern was baptized at that. Yeah,
awesome.
Had his picture taken with some of the other folks that were baptized there, and I saw Rebecca post it and was just so proud of him, and
absolutely.
It's pretty cool. But yeah, and so anyway, Tim, Coach Brooke was talking with me about how the guys saw the shirt that Travion was wearing, and they're like, "How do we get one of those for our guys?" I'm like, "Well, we'll find out," and so. We contacted, or I researched found the company online, and it was just a little basic website online with a couple of T-shirts at that time, the Travion Henderson signature one, and then there was a Texas Rangers player, I think, that had one for a few years, and I couldn't find any contact info. And I'm like, who do I contact about getting one of these made? Because I already had the design in my mind, basically the Ohio font. That's what the Jesus is it's the same font as our Ohio on your hat actually. And so I'm like, well, I'll just buy one, and if I buy a shirt, maybe there'll be like a return address or something that I can, And so I bought a shirt, which was a Kelly Green shirt, Eastern Eagles Jesus One shirt, and it came with a card that said, to get your own signature, your own version, contact this email address. And it was Matt Palmer's email address, the guy that owns the company. And so I emailed him, and he called me. He said, "You got time for a call?" So he called me. He's from Arizona, and he was telling me, he's like, "Dude, this is a side gig that me and a buddy started in 2014 or so, making these shirts that say Jesus One." And he was telling me about how he's a campus minister and all that, and he said, Travion, some of these guys, some of these like a couple professional athletes had their signature one, and then Travion wanted one, and now that people are wearing them and seeing them, people are requesting these and wanting them, and their orders are blowing up, and then they thought, well, let's just let any college. He said, well, we're seeing so much revival happening on college campuses that so many teams are contacting us saying, hey, we want one of those shirts. We want one of those shirts. So if you go on their website, it's Jesus One Apparel, you will see so many different versions of this that are, and these are all people calling him and saying, we want a shirt. And we did the same thing. So we got ours. So basically the way it worked was he said, how many do you want? to start with. We'll rush order. We'll do your design, rush order it to you, and get you a bunch of shirts up front. And then after that, once your guys start wearing them and people start seeing them, we'll put it on the website. So it's yet to be on their website. Our Ohio version is yet to be on the website, but it's going to be. I'm still fighting for that. They're really, really busy. And,
I'm sure.
And but what was cool is Coach Alvin's been in the news. He's took a new position, right? I know that's painful, but it happens. But I will say this: Coach Alvin and Brooke bought every single one of these shirts for the entire football program, and they left it up to them. Like, they didn't make guys take them, but so there's a box of them and a couple boxes in Cub's office, and any guy that wants one. And we have seen them on coaches, on staff, on players pregame. Coach Alvin wore his into the stadium at Detroit. If you look at the pictures of him walking in the tunnel, he had his on, and it's not just about a shirt. It's about faith. It's about what God is doing, and it's just a way of saying, one, I'm not ashamed to tell you that this is who I am, and it's cool. Like, I see Ethan and Reagan always wearing theirs, man. I love those guys. Yeah. And that's what's so cool about this team is that the two guys' name that we just mentioned, they're staff guys. They're grad students who. Or actually not grad students. I think they're undergrads, right? Yeah, student assistants who do signals, right? I was talking to Ethan one day, just sitting, we were eating lunch or something, and I said, hey, tell me, of all those things that you do, because I filmed him and showed him a video, of him doing this, and they're really passionate about their work. I mean, and got the orange shirts on and doing the I said, I know that like one of you guys probably have like receivers and quarterback, or one of you has and but I also know that one of you probably doesn't mean anything. He's like, well, he's like 95% of what I do doesn't really mean anything, and I'm like, but nobody knows. And I said, because you put so much into it, your role is so important, and that's one of the things that I always saw was like, you see all of the coaches and players expressing their appreciation and love for the lowest person on the totem pole on this team, and that's what makes a championship team.
Exactly. Yeah, you talk about a championship team. It's like, it's not the players. It's not just the players. Like Reagan, those guys, Ethan, Obley, like those guys do, I think, in my opinion, a lot more than your typical student assistant.
Yeah.
Or graduate assistant.
They take ownership.
Oh yeah, and they're actually really involved in, in a lot of the football stuff. And they help out, and they're a crucial role to this team and a crucial role to our success. And like you said, when you talk about a championship team, it's across the board.
It is.
It is the staff. It is EQ, the trainers. Everyone has to be bought in, and you see, like, that's awesome that you saw it in their role, because they do play a huge role, and that's across the organization.
Yeah.
So,
I just looked at my watch. It's 12:04. I know you said you got till 12.
Yeah.
So let's wrap it up. Which one of these is it? Is it this one?
Don't pick the wrong one. You never know what's gonna.
I think it's this one. I think this is our outro music.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, there we go. That's it. I think it's 3, 2, 1 to come in. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 to go out. I don't know. This will change after the new year. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was season what? A new season. So, I don't know how we do our seasons, but
thanks for coming and joining us, Parker. Congratulations, and keep doing what you're doing, brother.
Got one more to win this year.
Yep, one more.
One more to win. So go do that at the bowl game, and hope I get to go.
Yeah, I hope you do too. Figure it out.
That's right. Cool.